Welcome to Sports Minds, where all roads lead to sports and we talk ball every season. We are your hosts, Philthy.
Legendarius, I'm back, baby. And Hashmaster Z is M.I.A. Pulling a. Nah, I'm not gonna say it. But we back.
One man in, one man out.
That's
But
how
we're gonna keep it fresh, just like last week. We're gonna keep it pushing. But we're starting out hot this week. Very curious angle to our now continuing Aaron Rodgers saga. We're now starting to find out that the Jets are kind of putting themselves out in them streets just to get themselves a quarterback. How you feel about this, Legendarius?
Um, I feel like they're taking the wrong approach. Like, I get it. You want to get a quarterback. You can't. That's typically the path to a Super Bowl. But you're basically wagering your future on a QB that could retire next year or the year after that or go to a different team. So, thinking from that perspective and just Aaron Rodgers, how he's been the past, I don't know, let's say 5 off seasons, where he's like, oh, I don't know, I might retire. I got to think about it. It's just like, I don't know why the Jets would put themselves in that situation with him when they could get like literally anybody else. Well, not anybody else, but they had opportunities to get other quarterbacks or, just tank and get a quarterback in the draft next year. Or, you know, get in a time machine and don't draft Zach Wilson with your number 2 pick.
Well, I mean, I will say this. I mean, they definitely had more options before they kind of let the QB market dry up a little bit. So I feel like they feel like they have to go with Aaron Rodgers. It's Rodgers or bust. But no, man. I mean, I hate to keep tapping that Lamar vein, but I mean, that's an option right there. I mean, at the end of the day, the compensation is going to be nasty. So that's what we're fighting over in terms of like New York and Green Bay. And so I mean, I think it's going to be nasty. No matter what the breakout is, anyways, someone's going to leave a little bit hurt. I think the Jets are going to end up having to give up more just because it is Aaron Rodgers, and that's why I think it's a mistake. I've been anti, I guess, this version of Aaron Rodgers for some time now, and I think you're giving up a lot if you're the Jets. It's a big dice roll. I mean, the wish list notwithstanding, that's a huge dice roll for this aging quarterback who's basically 1 foot out of the league, anyways, before going into the darkness. And somehow that changed him, and now he wants to play for the Jets. It's just a huge dice roll.
Yeah, I feel you there. And I don't, obviously, I mean, we've heard the soundbite on the wish list story, so I'm not reading too much into that whole thing. Um, it is funny on one hand because it's just like, really, you need Randall Cobb still? Like, you just had him, it didn't work out, so why do you keep fighting for Randall Cobb? I don't get it. OBJ, obviously that would be huge, but like when looking at the wish list, it's just like, so which receiver do you not believe in? Is it Garrett Wilson or is it Elijah Moore? Because I feel like either one of them is definitely better than Randall Cobb, and I mean Garrett Wilson's definitely better than Lazard. So I always get wanting to have familiarity with your receivers and whatnot. So that's a guy that he knows. So that I understand from that standpoint. But as a whole, I was just like, uh,
Well, I've actually come down from that because I was all totally tapping that drum too, where it's like, why are we bringing these receivers? You already have an established offense over here. But now, after hearing the whole McAfee shindig, I totally get it now. He came up with his career with these guys, and he's just trying to keep them employed. It's really that move, and I get it. But on the other hand, if I'm the Jets organization, why would I play that game? I'm trying to win. I don't have to be faithful to these guys. I mean, you can hire Aaron Rodgers as part of your entourage, but I mean, I as an organization shouldn't have to be required to bring in these guys just because you want to keep them paid, just because you have a relationship with them. This is a business at the end of the day. I shouldn't have to do that. Elijah Moore is way more productive, and Garrett Wilson speaks for himself. Alan Lazard, you can argue your way. Well, they already signed him, so it doesn't matter. He's on the team. In terms of everyone else, I'm not seeing it. OBJ for sure, yeah. Who doesn't want an OBJ? But I'm not seeing that whole move from a business standpoint for the Jets.
yeah, I feel you. But I feel like the Jets, I mean, their GM is probably on the hot seat after the whole Zach Wilson debacle. So you don't want to fumble. I feel like the media is, in play just as much as, anything else. So it would, it's a bad look if they're like, oh, we had an opportunity for Aaron Rodgers, but we didn't like this or that, so we didn't do it. We didn't want to get OBJ, or we didn't want to get Lazard or Randall Cobb, so we decided to, you know, go with Joe Flacco. Since, I mean, Mike White is gone now, so they don't even have that
Yeah.
option.
Well,
Uh,
they're gonna have to figure out their backup situation in the event that they don't end up pulling a Rodgers. Because just because all this is going well, I mean, like I said, if the compensation isn't going right, they Packers can still nix this whole thing. So they need to have a plan B.
yeah, I agree. So I don't believe that this saga is anywhere close to being over. I'm sure we're going to be hearing about it for the next week or two, and hell, who knows? It might even go into the draft.
Oh
But
yeah, I totally see that. I totally see that. But uh, outside of the Jets, we do have a heavy news, I mean NFL news update for the week, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Free agency madness went crazy from the minute the clock struck 401. Okay.
madness.
We got the updates for y'all as of late Friday. I was up late in the lab making sure everything was up to date for y'all. So thank me later. But we're gonna start. We're not starting anywhere specific. We're just kind of hopping around, but we will follow along with the Jets since we were talking there anyways. Like we said, they do have Alan Lazard. They did get Chuck Clark from that trade we talked about last week with the Hashmaster, and then they are retaining Solomon Thomas and Quincy Williams, but that Quincy Williams contract is going to be pretty huge. So that's something else to consider with the Aaron Rodgers compensation.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they have a lot of rookies or people on those rookie deals, so they're not getting it's not going to be too big of a deal. They have a lot of cap room, but some solid pickups. Obviously, defensive coach, so they want to bolster their defense. Um, I'm kind of leaning more towards it doesn't really matter how how good your defense is if you can't score points, as we saw last year with the Jets.
Very
And
true.
another team that just made typical quiet moves that I was impressed with, the Patriots. They swoop up James Robinson. They get Juju Smith-Schuster. They get Mike Gesicki. And they get an offensive tackle Riley Reef. Uh, I like the moves that they made. Obviously, there are some departures. They're cutting Jalen Mills and Devin McCourty retired, but
Oh,
they
I didn't
made
know they were cutting Jalen Mills. Oh wow,
yeah, it just came out on Friday actually. So gonna save them
interesting.
like 5 million in cap room. So goodbye, Jalen.
Okay. Well, they
But
must have a plan. I mean, by them keeping Mac Wilson and Jonathan Jones, like I just like that Patriots secondary once again will be the reason why they are in the playoff hunt as the season goes on. Because oh my goodness, the offensive pieces I'm not really necessarily kind of gawking at. They have offensive problems all the way. I kind of want to see what Bill O'Brien does. I guess to change my mind. The Jaceki signing is surprising. I kind of wanted Jaceki in another system just because he is a big body tight end who can kill it in the red zone. So we'll see what they do. I mean, the Patriots had freaking Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith, and they didn't really do much with them in the past. So I just hope Jaceki. I like him as a player, so I hope he is still successful as a Patriot. But no, I think the moves for the Patriots it screamed really loud on defense.
yeah, and typical Belichick way, bolstering up his defensive guys. And if there's one thing that he can do well, it is develop corners. So I don't think they're gonna have any trouble on the defense. What's really gonna be telling for the Patriots this season is if Bill O'Brien can get Mac Jones back to being a decent player.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. And before we deviate too far from the prior teams talking, the Packers, they haven't really done anything anyways. They retain like one or two major names from that defense, but for the most part, their major move is going to be this Rodgers compensation package. Other than that, I think they're the team doing the least. I think the Cardinals are the other one that haven't done anything either in terms of like screaming anything out loud. I think they signed Kazir White, and I think that's about it for the Cardinals. So yeah, not every team is as active in free agency, but you do what you can depending how your money falls every season.
Yeah, I feel that. How do you feel about the Dolphins, man?
Well, that Jalen Ramsey trade was definitely it was very surprising to see. But then I kind of took it with a grain of salt just because I mean he did take a step back but that could be because maybe he's done being a Ram. Players sometimes need a new scenery and they kind of rejuvenate themselves. So I think this is huge. I mean, everyone knows Miami's a party. So going back to the U, so they know what time it is. So I think that's going to be huge for the defense. Very scary. I mean, they only gave up a third and they got a tight end as well. They gave up so not much out of the checkbook, and the Dolphins got a huge piece.
Yeah, that's what was surprising. Is like really a third round pick and a throw in tight end. Like that's all it costs for literally top three corner in the league. So
That's
I
just
feel
how
like
they do it. I think that's just how they start to devalue talent. I mean, like just to, not to compare players to cars, but they say once you drive a car off the lot, it already depreciates. But just given how big Ramsey's career has been, and it just kind of dwindles down to like a pick and a tight end. Even going to Cooper, like just a fifth, like that's what he kind of goes down to. But you gave up how many first round picks to get him? And so even for me as a fan, I've been watching for a while. I sometimes get confused about how they value their compensation packages, because I mean it's weird. I wouldn't say a fifth for Cooper is equal or greater than a third round and a tight end for Ramsey. So that's something I think about just as a fan when
yeah,
these things go down.
yeah. I mean, same. It is. It's always very interesting, and then you'll see like some other trade, and this is going like back in the past, but you'll see talent get flipped for a first rounder, and it's just like okay, if this player is worth the first rounder, and he's just like all right, or good, not great, then why is it that this player who has just as many accolades as a third rounder and something else? So I feel like part of it could always be the salary dump as well, but I agree with you. I feel like sometimes like these GMs, these teams, it's just like they they devalue talent like so much. It's like, are you guys trying to shift the market right now?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I very much like what have you done for me now, but it's like, oh, that's not necessarily. I get why you would do that, but I feel like in practice, it's not the best consistent practice for business.
Yeah. And how you feel about
But outside of that, the Dolphins. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how you feel about the Mike White insurance QB signing for the Dolphins?
I was gonna say that was actually a pretty smart signing. I mean, we don't know Tua's health long term, even going into another season. Like we don't know what that's going to be. At least with Mike White, you have some flexibility in terms of we're not completely screwed. Mike White gives you more flexibility in the playbook versus a Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And
Yeah.
say what you want about him. He's done well. And hey, if Mike McDaniel could, have Skylar Thompson duke it out with the Bills in the playoffs, I definitely believe that Mike White is going to be a solid piece for them if Tua were to suffer another concussion, which kind of seems inevitable at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. But hey, the Dolphins do retain like the whole running back room, so the consistency is nice there. But in terms of retention, the Bills, I mean, they retain their major defensive pieces, Milano and Poyer. So that's good. They retain their identity there while also adding Kyle Allen. So they get a little bit younger on the backup side. Bye bye, Case Keenum.
Well, I mean, they their backup QB doesn't matter. Like the Bills' entire team is based off of Josh Allen. So Josh Allen is hurt. It doesn't matter who you put in there to fill the void. It's not going to go well for you. Kind of
Yeah,
like with
exactly.
Lamar. It's just like Lamar's hurt. Yeah, it's not going to go well for you.
Yeah, well, since we're kind of near that highway anyways, we'll detour. Is there any updates with Lamar Gate on your end as the avid Ravens fan, or is everything pretty much the same?
Pretty much the same. I mean, clearly it's collusion, but I'll take it. As a Ravens fan, I just say, hey, I don't think any other team in the league should give this bum Lamar Jackson a fully guaranteed contract. He's no good. Like, what does he do? So why would we give him a fully guaranteed contract? Just let him play under the franchise tag for the Ravens, and maybe they'll work it out. Whatever. And nobody like if I was any other team in the league, I would not be interested. That's how I feel.
Dang. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, in other news, you guys
Leave
did
my guy
also.
alone, man. He's staying in Baltimore.
Well, the Ravens also retain Justice Hill, your safety Geno Stone, and Trayvon Mullins. I mean, does that kind of excite you a little bit, or is it just what else is new?
Yeah, I could care less, to be honest. Justin Hill's like third string running back. Trayvon Mullins is like our fourth corner. Geno Snow doesn't play. So, no. As long as we don't get, our entire defense injured again, uh, hopefully won't
That's
be
true. That should be the important part. Should be addressing the field. You're right.
no doubt. Some of these teams I could care less about because they're still gonna suck, i.e., the Texans or
Really, none of those Texans editions kind of got you at least like an
no man,
eyebrow raise. I mean,
no man. They signed Case Keenum. They got a guard. They got Jimmy Ward. So basically, uh, D'Amico Ryans tried to poach some Niners away, but all in all, the Texans they need a quarterback first. Obviously, the Case Keenum signing just signals that they're going to draft a QB and he can sort of guide them. But it's going to be a process. It was a process with the prince that was promised. What's his name? Trevor Lawrence. Um, the process with Trevor Lawrence is definitely going to be a process with whichever QB they draft. And it doesn't seem like they have a QB whisperer on the roster right now. They got a defensive coach, and we just saw how that worked out with the Jets. And to add insult to injury, the defensive coach they got was from the Niners, as was the Jets. So the whole Texan situation, I feel like wasn't handled correctly from the beginning because if you know you need a QB, you might want to get an offensive coach. And just the way that the league is trending in general, you might as well just make your head coach an offensive coach or, get a guru like Ben Johnson from the Lions as like offensive coordinator. But
yeah, I see. Well, I will say this. I agree with you. The Texans are not really going to make much noise in their first year under D'Amico Ryans, but I do like the Shaq Mason trade. That's nice. I like Shaq Mason.
yeah, I mean, the Bucks are just unloading, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's about what you expected after, how as close as they flew to the sun. Now it's might as well just reshuffle the deck.
What are you talking
See,
about? What are you talking about? You know who they got? They got a first round, number one overall pick, Baker Mayfield. They ain't reshuffling nothing. They running it back. They just needed a better quarterback under center. Somebody that wasn't scared to get hit. Somebody that'll
well, no,
show up for
headbutt you right
practice.
there at the beginning of the game. Headbutt you right there. No helmet required. Just straight take it out. Boom.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, I see the Bucks going backwards. Obviously, they got Baker Mayfield. They picked up Chase Edmonds, who's just on his fourth team in 3 years now. Hint, hint. Maybe he's not that guy. Um, they cut Leonard Fournette and Cameron Brate, correct? Or did they trade Cameron Brate?
I think they cut him or they plan to release him. One of those.
Yeah, either way. So they're getting rid of their starting running back, their starting tight end, their starting quarterback is gone. So what you're basically looking at is Baker Mayfield playing with a disgruntled Mike Evans and a disgruntled Chris Godwin, who will probably request trades in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them on new teams. I was hoping they'd get out. I mean, this is a perfect opportunity.
How do you
Speaking of
feel?
perfect opportunities, down over to Cincy, Orlando Brown gets his way out from one Super Bowl winning team to hopefully another one as he goes to the Bengals to keep Joe Burrow off the ground.
Yeah, I mean that was solid, but then they did. The Bengals did also get poached from, Samaje Perine, so he's on the Broncos now. And Perine was a solid
I do
piece.
like that signing. I like that P to Broncos signing. I mean, it does signal that maybe Javonte Williams isn't fully ready to go at this point in the offseason. So I did kind of glean that. But no, I like P. Ryan as a player and him as a Bronco. Man, I think he'll do some work.
No, I think it's more, Sean Payton is just an offensive genius. So, look at the Saints days. Darren Sproles always had a role. You know what I mean? Even though he had Mark Ingram and he had Kamara, like Darren Sproles always had a role. So P. Ryan has proven just Joe Mixon, no Joe Mixon, that he's a solid player that, could make an impact. So I think obviously Sean Payton having this year to just sit back and watch football identified that and was like, you know what, this guy seems like a good player. Let me get him on my team, see what we can do.
Yeah, I feel like you said that when they got freaking Zach Allen. I think that's a huge signing that is kind of flying under the radar. He's supposed to be like, I've heard him compared to like Vander Esch, other like big time like players at that position. He's like supposed to be a really big name. And so I'm excited that the Broncos got this guy. I'm kind of want to see what he does with the new team.
Yeah. And I also just love Sean Payton being Sean Payton and trolling the Raiders. So it's just like, you guys are taking too long with your QB decision. So we're gonna take the QB we have that you guys have right now, or who you think is gonna be your insurance QB, and we'll just sign him to be our backup. Now go take
Yeah.
Jimmy G.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I did like seeing that. Stidham, man, he's gonna he played his way into like some nice double digit millions of dollars at the end of the season there. So hopefully that continues as a Bronco. Why not?
Yeah,
But
for sure.
but the Browns over here, and they won't stop giving up their defensive identity. They've somehow acquired a defensive identity with Freddie Kitchens. They haven't let it go all these years later as they signed Dalvin Tomlinson, Maurice Hurst on the line, Tristan Hill, and Juan Thornhill. They're doing their best and trying to win some games with defense. I don't think that's necessarily the recipe for success. But hey, it's Cleveland. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think there is a recipe for success in Cleveland. It's just you go there, you're gonna lose. That's just the way it is. How you feel about these Steelers picking
I'll
up
tell you what about the Steelers. I was not paying attention to them overall just because I'm just like they kind of have. I think they need offensive moves more than anything. Their defense is always good, but seeing that they signed Cole Holcomb, originally from Washington, man, he's an awesome player. I don't even really like Washington like that ever, but he's always someone I've always liked watching when playing the Cowboys. He's a killer player, killer linebacker. Nice to see. It'll be nice to see him in the Steelers uniform. But they're getting Patrick Peterson as well, so we'll see how that works out for the secondary. He did some work in Minnesota, and then they're going to retain Larry Ogunjobi right there on the D line, so some consistency there. But overall, it looks like the Steelers are trying to get back to the identity of that steel curtain.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure about the Steelers and what they're really doing. They've had great defenses the past couple of years, but they haven't had any offensive weapons, and I feel like that's really been their Achilles heel. And they're they seem just content to not address that and keep adding defensive pieces. So whatever, we'll see how that works out for them.
Yeah, I just feel like I could see Mike Tomlin every like off season. Like, I don't know what y'all doing, but I'm getting mine over here. I don't know what to tell y'all.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your boys. Since
Oh man.
for the listeners, he was really hyped mid-season or midweek when he heard about the Stephon Gilmore trade. So tell me how this is gonna impact the Dallas Cowboys and take them from where they were to where they're gonna be, which is probably worse. Talk to me.
Uh,
Talk to me.
I'm not actually because I don't work for Dan Quinn nor the Cowboys organization, so I don't know what their plan is for Gilmore. However, I think it was a great addition because we already had Diggs on the other side. He's already kind of a reckless, kind of a ball hawk, anyways. Gilmore brings in a veteran presence. He can kind of give some skills to the younger guys. At the end of the day, we got injured a lot in the secondary, so this is a depth move for sure. And people like to say Gilmore's washed. Well, he was effective for the Colts. He did his job well and made standout plays when it kind of called for it. So I'm not going to say he's completely washed. He's no freaking what's his name? Josh Norman, He's no Revis,
That's true.
He's not completely cooked. So I think this is a huge move. It won't necessarily put them over, but it gives you more flexibility and in terms of off season planning. And then if the injuries strike, you have more flexibility there as well. But I think this is a great depth move.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I actually, I didn't think the day would come, but I got to applaud Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones. Actually, hold on. Let me get a better applause in. There you go. Shout out to Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. I didn't think the day would ever come that they would cut Ezekiel Elliott, but they did it. He's done. He's
Yo,
gone. No more money for you. No more money for you, Ezekiel Elliott.
I'm just glad the story is finally over. No disrespect, like I said last week, huge fan of Zeke. He did his part well, but when it comes down to money talks, man, you just certain things you just can't come back from, and having that type of contract for that many years and not being that productive, man, it's tough, man. He still had another 50 mil in 4 seasons left. I mean, come on, that's kind of egregious.
Man, I'm gonna take it further. And I was watching all last season. Tony Pollard was clearly better than Zeke. He needs to be a three down back. So now hopefully he
Yeah.
gets that opportunity. Hopefully, he'll be able to be back for the start of the season since he has that broken leg. But
Yeah. I
it's
mean, and I
Zeke's
wish I
on the
wish the
decline.
last play of in my mind of Zeke as a Cowboy isn't him being the center and some phenomenal trick play. I wish that wasn't the last play ever. But I mean, guys, I mean, if you're not too familiar with Zeke, other than his recent 3.4 yards a carry this season, go watch his tape, man. He was phenomenal for the Cowboys. He did work, man. It was great when he had the weight and then he lost the weight and he still killed it. Zeke had a whole timeline before he kind of aged out as a running back. And yeah, killer player, phenomenal, and he'll be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor eventually.
Agreed. Sticking with the NFC East, there was a lot of movement with the Giants. Let's fill us
Oh
in
yeah,
on that one. What'd you like?
yeah. I mean, the giant horse in the room, Darren Waller, that trade for a third rounder. I mean, that was huge, a huge, nice shiny toy for Daniel Jones. I mean, I think that's gonna make waves. I mean, it's going to do work. So that will translate to wins as well as Paris Campbell. I mean, a very fast wide receiver for those who don't know about him. I mean, they are going to keep Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, but the Giants have the thing where kind of like the Cowboys and maybe like other teams too, where they're just really loyal to certain players. And it's just like, we're going to do right by you. It's okay. We have payroll. We're going to take care of you just as a person. And I think that's really awesome. So I think that's why Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton are still there as Giants, given their down years the last few seasons. And hell, I think that's great. Why not? But other than that, the Giants also get Bobby Okiriki from the Lions. I think he was one of the better player on the Lions, and now he's going to the Giants. So this division in the East, it's going to get very interesting.
Yeah, for me with the Giants, I like the moves, and the only thing I don't like about the moves is the Daniel Jones 4 year extension because it's like, how about we just give Daniel Jones the franchise tag, give him some pieces, and then let's see if he's really that guy or if last year was just an anomaly. Because I still don't believe that he's that guy, and I feel like the Giants are going to be right back to being upset with Daniel Jones, like they have been every other season of his career.
But you know what? I agree with that. That's kind of smart. That's kind of something other teams should consider. Why not tag the quarterback? And you know what? We're gonna put you in a situation where you have weapons. So we're gonna see if you can actually earn the money that you want versus outright giving it to you, then giving you the weapons, and then you digress, and then we look dumb.
Yeah, and I mean, if if these owners are sitting out here saying that they don't want Lamar Jackson, they definitely wouldn't want Daniel Jones. So like, Daniel Jones, here's your non-exclusive tag. Go find a better deal. I don't think he would have got it anywhere.
Yeah, me neither. I think yeah, that was definitely a tale of two types of players. How one can switch up, fist on the table, I want this bag, and gets the bag, and the other one, no new agent. I am my own agent. This is my bag, and I can't get it. That was
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, well, we live in a world where Daniel Jones makes more money than former MVP Lamar Jackson.
Yes, indeed. But there's a little theme that you may not have noticed actually with going down to the very first movement, talking about teams. There's a theme of Niners players, former Niner players, just going everywhere out the league. And I say that to mention we have freaking Arden Key and Aziz Al Shair, former Niner players, going to the Titans. Those are pretty good additions. I mean, and going back to beating the Niners drum, Samson Ebicom, former Niner, became a Ram. He's now a Colt, going down there on the edge, down there with Taven Bryan, also Gardner Minshew. Colts trying to make some noise as well, trying to retain some speed on the line with Tyquan Lewis and EJ Speed. They're trying to make some noise. Trying to make some noise.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel
Go
like
get yourself some former Niner players.
no, that's what I was gonna say. I feel like the Niners defense probably for the past like 5 years has just been like so dominant that all these teams see these guys and are like, this is what we need on our team. We need one of these guys. And then
Yeah,
sometimes it delivers, sometimes they don't. But I mean, you can't argue with what you see. Their defense has been elite. Their players on every level have been elite on the defensive side of the ball. So 9 times out of 10, when they go elsewhere, they still produce. I mean, look at Solomon Thomas.
yep.
He's been doing work. DeForest Buckner, he's been doing work on the Colts for a minute now. He's a former Niner as well. So
Yeah, and DeForest Buckner did have something to say about that Hargrave signing. Not to skip all the way to the Niners yet, but it kind of ironic, how he kind of felt like he felt away that he got that contract, but he couldn't get it and he had to leave, to get his money. But
yeah,
politics.
I'll say Hargrave is better.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, for
since
sure.
we get since we down here, let's talk about it. The Niners, Sam Darnold. How we feel?
I was really confused on that move. Only because I thought like, wow, Niners, you kind of nix yourself out of the Lamar sweepstakes. There are other names you could do. You kind of nixing yourself out of that, but I get it. This is more like Kyle Shanahan saying, I don't need a name. I just need a guy. I just need a arm. For all we know, McCaffrey was probably lobbying for his ass because he played with him too. So I mean, he's still young. He can still do work, and in Shanahan's system, I'm sure he will produce for sure.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of the the last resort for Sam Darnold, or his last
Yeah.
chance, basically. Like last chance you. Like this is your last chance. All right, you're in the Jets. The Jets, typically just terrible organization. Then you're on the Panthers. They had one of the worst O lines in the league. You just got beat up. So now you're gonna be on one of the best O lines, one of the best run organizations, skill position players everywhere. You're gonna have plenty of time. Pretty much, you just have to make accurate throws and protect the ball. So if he can do that, hell, he can beat out Brock Purdy and Trey Lance and keep this job. So I'm definitely interested to see how that plays out. And at the same time, you still see it, defensively. They
Well,
load
let me ask you something. Let me ask you something before you mentioned it defensively. Let me ask you something. If you're, let's say it's week 7 and I'm the quarterback and I'm playing against the Niners, and it's week 7 and I'm in the room with my coaches, we're gonna figure out a game plan. And I'm sitting here getting the game plan, and they say, "All right, who do we have on the line? All right, we have possibly Javon Kinlaw, we have Eric Armstead, we have Nick Bosa, and Javon Hargrave. Uh, are you ready?" I'm gonna say, Coach, I retire. I'm not gonna play this game. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Bosa, Hargrave, Armstead, they are good for double-digit sack totals per year. All 4 of them are good for just 1 sack a game. This is a long day for any quarterback every single week for the Niners. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't see it. I don't see it. What team can stack against him? I don't see it. Do you?
no, and they don't even have to blitz. They
No, they
literally
don't.
will
They
not have to
can't.
blitz. They're like, we're just gonna rush 4. You got 2 seconds.
They can rush 4 all game and just kind of play with zone and man packages the whole time.
Yeah,
That is crazy. And I'm the first one trying to, Cowboys fan, I'm the first one trying to give it up for the Niners. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Like straight up. I mean, people were kind of going on about the Eagles last season. Well, what are you gonna do off the line? What are you gonna do with this line, man? Who's
yeah,
stopping this
yeah.
consistently?
This is like this is truly disgusting, and this puts pressure on 2 people, Kyle Shanahan and whoever their new defensive coordinator is, because that roster, you have no excuses. You had all off season, so you
Yeah.
just saw what happened. You saw what happened in the playoffs. You got to the NFC Championship game, your QB got hurt. You decided that you wanted to go cheap and get Sam Darnold. You have no excuses. So, GM, everyone, smartest people in the room, you don't need a top QB. Y'all better win the Super Bowl. You at least better get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
And all
no
their other
excuse.
moves, they've retained all their defensive pieces. Everyone that they've retained, it's they're backing up either someone on the line or they're backing up someone in the secondary or linebacker. So they're bringing back important pieces that they feel that they need to retain. So yeah, you have no excuse. Your defense, I don't see how your defense can get any more like loaded. You have to perform now. You have to at least show up. You can't be wild card. You have to have a top seed, maybe a bye week. You have to finish like top three easy.
Yeah, I agree, man. So what other teams we want to talk about? We've been going on NFL for a minute. I know we got to touch on some NBA and some March Madness. So
Yeah, well, before we get out of the NFL, I will bring up the Seahawks. I do like the moves that they've been making on the defense, really stacking up, getting back to that Legion of Boom identity in a way. I like that they signed Julian Love. He was a monster piece from the Giants. I'm surprised they let him go. But hey, it goes to the Seahawks. And Devin Bush. I've always been a Devin Bush fan, and he's been on the move, collecting contracts. And here's another one at the Seahawks, man. I really like it. And then I like Jaron Reed and Dramon Jones being on the team too. And Evan Brown. I mean, I really like the moves that the Seahawks are making. Just very smart. Just protecting Geno Smith and just getting that defense ready and not putting so much pressure on the offense.
yeah, I feel you. I don't know. I'm still just not a believer in the Seahawks, but maybe they'll prove me wrong this year. They made some good moves. I just don't think, in that division that sort of beats up on each other. Um, and now they have a year of tape on Geno Smith to, sort of see his tendencies and shut down some of the things he likes to do. I just feel like offensively, the Seahawks they need a new something. It's been Metcalf and Lockett for at least 5 years, and it hasn't resulted in playoff success. So I don't know why they keep running it back. Uh, I just feel like eventually, maybe
Yeah,
they'll.
kind of curious as to why you don't kind of deal Metcalf maybe a season or two ago and get a haul, and then you can kind of retool your offense from there, and at the same time get draft picks and kind of address the defense earlier than what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because teams would pay, they probably still would pay for a Metcalf, and I mean, how can you not? I mean, like, you could also give up Lockett, sure, but it's like you said, that's gotten stale, and you're going on multiple seasons now of kind of the same thing. You already got a new quarterback, so you got to kind of consider something else at a certain point.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll,
Hey, man.
but
Can't
we've been
teach an
talking
old
additions
dog
the
new
whole time. What about
tricks.
some? Very true. But we've been talking additions the whole time. What about some departures? The biggest departures right here we're looking at is Austin Eckler giving permission to get a trade, and Dalvin Cook is going to be on the move as the Vikings choose Madison over him. Where do you think these two players would end up?
Whew, I don't know. Like, I feel like Eckler obviously can fit in anywhere, but if he's trying to get money, then he's not going to be on a great team. Like, that's just the way that it is. Or not a team that's going to make the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Although one team, I'm not sure how their salary situation is looking, but would this not be the perfect play for them? Is the Bengals. You let P. Ryan walk. Joe Mixon, you could cut. I would cut Joe Mixon in a heartbeat, pick up Austin Eckler. He can do basically what Joe Mixon and P. Ryan do. It's like run the ball and pass catch and
That's
more
true.
explosive.
Well, would they have to cut Mixon to do it, or could they actually possibly deal him, or are the contracts too unbalanced?
No,
Is it too kind of?
they definitely have to cut Mixon.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, it's just like this may be for another episode, but I feel like the running backs aren't really that valuable. Like when you have to pay a running back top dollar, when's the last time a running back got paid top dollar and that running back has won a Super Bowl? Like you can't name it.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Adrian Peterson,
Yeah.
Zeke,
Yeah.
Todd
Adrian
Gurley,
Peterson.
all these guys. They get the numbers, they get the yards, but all that doesn't equal championships.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Well, here, let's play. Let's do a little word association game. Let's do a word association game. Are you ready? I'm gonna give you a list of players. You try and tell me, what they all have in common. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. Jimmy G, Jacoby Myers, Philip Dorsett, Brandon Bolden, Chandler Jones. What do these players have in common?
Patriots, baby. You talking about the West
Wrong.
Coast?
They all play on the Raiders. Oh wait, the Patriots. Wait, the Raiders.
You talking about the
Patriots.
West Coast Patriots?
The team McDaniel's is on. Wait, both of those teams had him.
You know, like when we're in California, we always go to like Vegas to turn up.
Whoa.
And
Wow.
being on the East Coast, you go to Boston, Foxborough, Massachusetts to turn up, right?
Whoa. So
Same.
he really said, guys, let's do it again, huh?
Yeah, he really
You know what
did.
I did? You know what I did? I checked up the yardage. I checked up the whole Philip Dorsett deal as he came from the Colts. You know what he did his first season with the Patriots? 174 yards.
Balling.
I don't understand why we would. I mean, Jacoby Myers. I mean, the Raiders kind of have a player like Jacoby Myers. I believe his name is Hunter Renfro. Um, why would we get a Jacoby Myers? Jimmy
Well,
G. I get it. You need a quarterback, but
well, you see that they shipped off Darren Waller, so I feel like they're indicating that they want to run a lot more three wide receiver sets. So, Myers, Adams, and Renfro would fit in with that. I think Dorsett is just an addition because he like knows the playbook. Maybe he can help coach some guys, be like a player coach. But once they shipped off Darren Waller, it's like, well, clearly, like you don't want to use a tight end, Josh McDaniels. So, uh,
honestly, when they dumped Waller, I immediately started racking my brain. Who was on the Patriots tight end depth chart? Who was it? Who was it? I was immediately trying to find it because I just figured you'd try and get him too.
Hunter Henry, Jonas.
Keep your
Well,
eyes open, folks. You might see it.
yeah. Well, I mean, McDaniel's had the luxury of having Gronk, who isn't a traditional tight end. But maybe, because he doesn't have Gronk, then he's like, I don't need a tight end. I only use a tight end because I had Gronk, but I don't really like to use tight ends. Something like that. Who knows? And then for Dalvin Cook, well, Dalvin Cook, I don't know. Either one of these running backs, I don't know, because I feel like the league is sort of like trending towards let's just draft a running back. They'll be good for 4 years, and then once they want a new contract, see you later. Miles Sanders, go to Carolina.
Do you think the running back market peaked too early, and now it's just kind of you can get a contract as a running back, but it's like you're not gonna be winning. You're gonna go to a loser team to get a contract. Like, do you think that running back market already got ruined already?
I just feel like running backs are they're good for 4 years, and then you can get another one. I mean, look at the Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's still on his rookie deal, but he's not going to get re-signed. And I feel like that's the way that things have been trending. Like Kareem Hunt, he wasn't a first round pick.
Well, then
Kamara,
do you think the Panthers
Kamara.
did a disservice by signing Miles Sanders into that contract?
I don't know what the Panthers are trying to do. So they signed Andy Dalton. They signed Hayden Hurst. Like I don't know what the Panthers deal is. I'm sure it's got to be like a 3 year plan. They got rid of their best receiver. I imagine they're going to be signing another QB or drafting a QB, obviously with that number one pick. So I don't know what their plan is. If I had to if I had to guess right now, I would predict they're drafting Anthony Richardson because that's why you get Miles Sanders. You could try to run offense that Jalen Hurts was running in Philly.
Yeah, that's true. Well, speaking of Philly, did you see what they did? They freaking added freaking Mariota and Rashad Penny to already an impressive offense. And I think that's just good for the trick plays. I mean, well, Rashad Penny, he's just going to be a durable RB, so you can just pound the freaking line however many times a game, as long as he's going to be playing. And then Mariota, man, that's just a trick play, in the red zone.
Yeah, but I mean Mariota, I feel like he's just like insurance for Jalen Hurts so they can run the same offense if Hurts
Yeah,
gets injured. Whereas with Minshew, you kind of had to change the offense around and probably got sick of doing that. So, good insurance play for the Eagles picking up Mariota. Nothing changes on a day to day basis. Day to day basis, depending on regardless of QB status.
Yeah, and two, they did keep, certain pieces on defense, but Philly always does that. Sign a they'll sign a gaggle of people, then they'll keep what they think is the top, let everyone else walk, and I don't know. They still don't have a Super Bowl, so I guess,
Yeah,
good for them.
yeah. Well, you got any other teams you want to touch on, or shall we move on to this?
Nah, everyone else, I don't think it's gonna really translate to anything big. I mean, the Saints, I mean, Jamal Williams, Mike Thomas. I mean, that's good for fantasy. The Falcons, I mean, Jesse Bates. So you went there for a bag, but brother, you went there for a bag, not for W's. And they retain their certain pieces. They got Tyler Heineken, Falcons. That's good for
Heineken,
CC.
baby.
I will say this. I will bring up the Lions last team before we get out of here. The Lions. Um, I'm sorry, not the Lions. Oh yeah, I am the Lions. I'm confused as to what the Lions are doing. In my opinion, I think they cut the wrong guy. I think great that you signed David Montgomery, but now I think you kind of have the same player in a way with Montgomery and Swift. They both will not play a full season. They both get injured. Yes, Swift is super explosive. I get it. Knowing that you have the same player and you already have a super durable, healthy back end of Jamal Williams, I don't understand why you don't keep the healthy, cheaper guy, and then you have David Montgomery here, and then you just parlay Swift into something else that you need Detroit. I just thought that was, I don't know, for me, I just didn't like it. But I get it. Everything worked out in the end. Jamal Williams is a saint. But that part right, minutia, as an observer, I was just perplexed about.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I did not understand that move at all, and I agree. I think they made the wrong move, especially considering how Jamal Williams was just a touchdown machine last season. I didn't see that changing, and DeAndre Swift has been injured literally every season. But maybe this is them like showing faith, or as always, the GM saying, "We drafted this guy. We need to play this guy. Get rid of the other one and play my guy." Who knows?
We'll see how it all translates, and we'll see what happens after the draft. But we'll keep an eye out for you, folks.
For sure. Now, on to the NBA.
Let's get on.
On to these dumbass Lakers.
Let's get on.
The Lakers, I could have went 500 earlier in the week, coming off of a solid win against Memphis. They had a back-to-back against Houston. AD sits out. Why? I don't know. It's not like, it's not the beginning of the season. It's not the beginning of the season. This is like literally like, yo, we're close to making the playoffs.
The All-Star break has already happened.
We're right there. We're right there. Maybe play a back-to-back since LeBron is out. Nah, like I feel like not just him, just NBA players in general, like they really love no guidance, you know what I mean? Because all they do is say, I don't want to play no games. Nobody's playing. KD out, LeBron out. Like it's ridiculous. And then we lose to Houston, and then look, AD comes back rested Friday night. He's rested. Mind you, he didn't play the last game. And then we lose to Dallas, buzzer beater. Because, of course, when you're down 2, you have to leave somebody open for 3. God forbid you go into overtime. Just let somebody shoot the 3 so you can lose. I don't want to play. If I don't want to play games, you think I want to play extra minutes? Overtime? No, thank you.
My personal issue with the Lakers letting the Mavs get that at the end of the game was, why are you leaving the thing that is paying you the most dividends? You completely ignore Austin Reeves down the stretch. What are you doing? Austin Reeves is super effective. I was just singing his praises last pod. What's going on here, man? This guy does nothing but try and put the team on his back. He's learning from the vets that are there. Let this man get in the paint and do work. Don't completely phase him out of the offense for what? Ham? Like, what is it? That doesn't make sense. We don't care. I personally don't care who the name is on the jersey. Get the ball to the producers and let them produce. Austin Reeves should have had more time, in clutch time, to kind of get us out where we needed to be, in my opinion, and that was just a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. But also, just watching the game, and you kind of live by D'Lo, you die by D'Lo. D'Lo's the point guard, and he's always just like, "Give me the ball, give me the ball. I know what to do." And 9 times out of 10, he's just like, "I'm just not gonna pass the ball, and I'm gonna chuck up this three." And he was cold last night, so he
Yeah.
missed a lot of them. But also, like, how about Anthony Davis? If you're gonna take a night off, then you got to come back and be the best player on the floor.
My issue with Anthony Davis remains the same thing. It's just no actual dedication, no Mamba blood. Kobe would not be satisfied with AD's play at all. He'd be ripping his ass. I'm not gonna lie, because he's no killer instinct. This dude shows up, takes the test, goes home. Like, what are you doing, dude? You just see it all the time. When he turns it on, you see it. When he's on, he's on. Ooh, 22. Oh, 30 something points. Ooh, 20 something rebounds. Like, he can do it. Oh, a 40 piece. He can do it. We see him do it all the time. He chooses when to play like that, and it's super annoying. It is annoying. And I'm not trying to sit up here trying to uh, be that guy just like piling on AD. No, I see him. I'm watching. I'm basing it on this season play. This dude checks in, checks out. I'm in it. I'm not. It's super annoying because you can't predict it as a fan, the type of AD you're gonna get. It's very annoying as a better because I can't predict this crap. It's very annoying. He's annoying as a player right now.
Yeah, and I feel like for me the bigger issue that I have, especially with last night's game, is all right. AD took 14 shots. He was 9 for 14. That's pretty good. But why does D'Angelo Russell take more shots? 5 for 17, D'Angelo Russell. Why are you taking more shots than a guy that's 9 for 14?
Yeah.
Schroeder was 7 for 13, so I can't really hate too much. But come on, you're only taking one less shot than Anthony Davis. Maybe Anthony Davis should be getting 20 shots a game since LeBron is out. I don't know, just an idea. That is why he
Yeah,
gets
and that
paid the
makes
big
me wonder.
bucks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I wonder how the offense is being run. Why aren't you switching your identity to run the offense through AD if you're not doing that? Because if you are doing that and Schroeder and D'Lo are just kind of fucking off the game plan, that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
But why aren't you running it through AD? Why, if that is the case, and maybe that also translates as to AD not being productive because he feels he's being hot and cold. Maybe he is a volume type guy. Why aren't we just adjusting to that? We should be having these type of contingency plans when a LeBron isn't on the court.
I agree, man. So maybe that goes back to coaching as well. Obviously, these are still a bunch of new additions, so maybe they're still just getting used to each other a little bit more, but at the same time, it's crunch time. Like I believe there's about 12 games left in the season. We're sitting at the 10 seed right now. Like it's crunch time. It's like we don't have time to be like, oh, we're still figuring it out. It's like, no, that time has passed. It needs to be figured out. We need to have this together. We're in the 10 seed right now, but we're still 2 games from the 6 seed. Had we won last night, we'd be 1 game from the 6 seed.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, at this point, they have my prediction in limbo. I'm still holding it down. We're gonna float to the five, and at this point, they're making me look silly. So we have a great opportunity to just bypass the play in and get into the playoff. So I don't understand why we can't just double down and get to the off portion of the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel it. So we'll see what happens there. How and obviously I wasn't here last week to get into more of this jaw situation, but he keeps coming with the content, man. So,
Oh yeah.
how'd you feel about his sit down with Jalen Rose?
Um, I really didn't watch the whole thing. I saw the snippet where Jalen straight asked him point blank the question, and I'm just kind of like, dude, we're kind of blurring like entertainment at a certain point. I thought this whole thing, it looks bad. You can't sit up here and be like, "Yo, I need help. I'm gonna go off social media. I'm gonna go get help." And then you come out of your cave like after a week. That doesn't show me that you learned anything. It doesn't show me that you're actually trying. It shows that you're trying to get back on the court. It shows like you're going through the motions. You didn't learn anything. You don't feel bad. You're just kind of, I should do these things because someone is advising me to do these things. That's what it felt like it was doing. All this feels very manufactured, very fake now. I'm not sure what the fallout is after he comes back and meet from the 8 game suspension, I believe it is. I'm not sure what the fallout is after that, but I don't know. I'm kind of off the jaw train a little bit. He comes off very disingenuous now. At this point, I'm very open to changing my mind on him as time goes on, but as of right now, this just comes off just disingenuous, and he just wants to get back on the court, and it's just, oh, I got caught versus, oh, I actually have a problem.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I was like, that's the playbook nowadays. It's just like, so what? So what is it? Like, do you need help, or was it just the gun wasn't yours? Like, did you just not want to like face the music? Because that's really all it seems like at this point. It's just like, all right, rather than just saying like I made a mistake, let's say you need help. But help with what? Stress. What are you stressed about? Like everything that he said has been like so like there's been no real details behind like anything that he said. He's just like, yeah, I need to take some time away, figure out ways to deal with stress. Like, what are you stressed about? Like, what does that have to do with your strip club incident and the gun? Like everything, everything that
As
he's saying,
as
he's a
as
walking
Jay-Z,
contradiction at this point. I don't condone
yeah,
any violence, sir. Sir, you have like multiple accusations of literally being violent. You punched a 17-year-old. You showed him a gun. You got into it with the security guard. You pointed a laser at the Indiana Pacers. You don't condone violence? I don't know about that one. I feel like you do condone violence. Like, literally everything that you do says that you do condone violence. But rather than, like, obviously there are things you gotta say, but I just feel like everything is just, like, so, like, mixed up now. So it's not about the gun anymore. Now it's about, like, his mental health. And it's like, are we not allowed to criticize him? Because he said, like, he was having mental health issues, even though he's not disclosing any information about those issues. And like, how long was he in treatment? What did he get treatment for? He's already back out. And it's like, was this just like, oh, I don't know how long I'm going to be suspended, so if I'm suspended a long time, then it'll be this. It was like, oh, only 8 games, all right, I'm good. I don't condone any violence. I got the help that I needed, and I'm gonna prove that moving forward. Like, just let me get back out there. And it's just like, come on, dude.
here's the biggest indicator for me that Jaw has serious, like, I won't say a mental issue, but he's possible like a candidate for needing to talk to some professional help. Here was the biggest indicator for me. How are you in a strip club and you're not looking at the talent? You're on your phone and you're flashing your little Thule gun that you bought at a KB Toys. I don't. Well, your priorities are off, man. You're exhibiting hedonism right here, man. Just enjoy it, man. You're doing the seven deadly sin of lust. So just lust away, bro. Like, why are you in here and you're worried about outside? No, bro, you're in the den of sin. So sin it up, guy. What's happening here? Someone is spending your money. Spend your own money. Drop your own ones. Don't just chuck it. Don't beat the talent with the ones. It's disrespectful. You make it rain. So make it rain on the talent. I don't understand why you're flashing your Thule in this establishment. So this was a major indicator that the brother needs help.
I got nothing to add to that one. Oh man, that was great.
Just saying, consider where we are. I would never do that.
I
Now, if
mean,
I'm at a house party, I'm showing that thing and I'm probably gonna beat Tim over the head with it. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna admire the talent.
yeah,
Please show some
that's
respect.
yeah, that's not really the place to flash a gun. It's just like, are you gonna need to kill one of these strippers? Are they working for you? Are you? Is this Snowfall? No, I'm kidding. Uh,
Shoot. Well, I'll tell you what though, Detroit was making that snow fall over last night, erasing a 29-point deficit, coming back against the Spurs in overtime. I mean, does Memphis really even need Jaw at this point? I don't understand why we just don't bookend this whole experience and just ride out with the team that they have.
They absolutely need Ja. Like it's not even a question. Like let's not jump the gun here. They overcame a 29-point deficit against the Spurs. The Spurs, who are 18 and 52.
Hey,
So
they beat the Nuggets.
I cool. And they're still 18 and 52. The Rockets in the span of 1 week have beat the Pelicans, the Lakers, and the Celtics. So anybody can beat anybody. But at the
I
end of the
got that.
day, at the end of the day, the Rockets are also 18 and 52, and they're on a 3-game win streak. So
They're heating up at the right time.
yeah, so yeah, I'm not putting too much stock into the Grizzlies without John Morant, especially once you get into the playoffs. It all comes down to execution and can my superstar give me a bucket? Clearly, John Morant can do that. Uh, and we've been talking about it, and I feel like the more we talk about it, the more wide open it gets. Like the West is just a mess. KD's not playing the rest of the season. The Warriors still can't win on the road. They're This is their road record: 7 and 28.
Pew.
You want to know who they have a better record than?
Who?
They have a better record than the Rockets and the Spurs. That is all. That means
That's it?
Portland, Pelicans, Jazz. The
Wow.
Pistons have a better road record than the Warriors. The Pistons have 16 total wins. They have a better road record than the Warriors.
That's crazy.
So
Wow.
the Warriors are a mess. Wiggins, I don't even know what the deal is. I don't want to throw out rumors. But it sounds like he's not going to play. That's what they're saying. He's not going to play anymore the rest of the season. I'm not sure if you heard the rumor or not. You can look that up yourself. But do you feel like that is reason enough to be like, you know what? I'm not going to play the rest of the season.
You really can't call it nowadays with these players. I feel like everything's so volatile across all sports, and I mean, you can just pull out for whatever reason. So it's really everything's so fluid that I mean, it is within a player's right, or whatever the case may be, to be like, I'm not returning. And sure, whatever the punishment is, there will probably be punishment from the team, right? Because you're basically violating your contract in a way. But I don't know, man. It's to a point everyone feels like they have a platform, or they feel like they can put their foot down, or they have some modicum of power now. And this is just the latest iteration. So we just have to
Well,
see how it plays out.
like I said, NBA players, baby, no guidance. I don't wanna play no games, play no games. Give me my check though. Give me my
Yeah,
check. How much
exactly.
guarantee money I got? He did just sign that extension this offseason. So he's like, I got my 140 mil. I think I'm good now.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because you look at what a mess the West is in the standings, then you look at the East and you see much more of a clearer picture in terms of the standings. And it kind of reminded me of like the division in the past, where like usually it's the East where it's more clumped up in terms of the standings, and everyone's more closer in position. Where the West is more clearly defined in terms of the standings. It made me think. I mean, in terms of regardless of who the actual team is, do you think the title is going to the East or the West this year? What conference or division is taking the title, in your opinion?
It's gonna be the East, and I'm gonna take it further. I'm gonna tell you who's taking it. It's gonna be the Bucks.
Whoa, you heard it here first.
Like it's over. Actually, there's one team still, one team that can beat the Bucks if they're healthy, and that is the Suns. So I think if the Suns can make it through the playoffs healthy, then we're going to be on a collision course for a Bucks Suns rematch in the finals, and that's going to be popcorn. You still can't. I still think advantage Bucks because they're just so deep. Also, you want to talk about chess moves? The Bucks, they just went and took Jay Crowder. So it's like, hey, Jay Crowder, tell me the Suns playbook if we do have to see them in the finals. Although,
Seriously, yeah, that was huge.
yeah, although their playbook clearly changes a little bit with Kevin Durant in the mix, but still, I feel like it's the Bucks' title to lose. They can score points. They can defend at a high level when they feel like it. They're deep off the bench. They just got shooters. They have everything, and they have Giannis. And that's especially like looking at like it doesn't even matter what team in the West, but like let's say the actual sort of contenders, which would be the Suns, the Warriors, the Nuggets. I'm gonna leave my Lakers out because I feel like my Lakers can give it to the Bucks. But I'm gonna leave my Lakers out. We're number 10. We need a lot. I'm gonna leave them out. These other teams, like the Warriors against the Bucks, they will get destroyed by Giannis.
Yeah.
Suns destroyed by Giannis. The only question mark with the Suns is like if KD could D up Giannis because we did see it 2 years ago. KD was making it a little tough for Giannis. Obviously, he's not strong enough, but he has the length. Other than like other than KD, there's nothing. The Clippers they don't have anyone for Giannis. The Mavs don't play any defense. Grizzlies don't have anyone. Nuggets don't have anyone. Like Giannis is just a freak, and really, the only team that could possibly stop them is the Celtics. And I don't like how the Celtics have been playing lately. So
Yeah. True. True. No, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally think the East too. The title's gonna go there. You've convinced me. I could see why, or leaving the conversation, I could lean a bit more to the Bucks side. But overall, I think it's definitely the East. I think that does take the title. Um, Injured players healing notwithstanding, I just think the division of power is so much more clear on the East. I think the East, it's their title to lose.
yeah, I feel it. And before we wrap, let's talk a little March Madness. You can call it March Sadness already. Who'd you have winning it
Oh
all?
yeah. I was very close to picking Gonzaga just because like I am a true Timmy fan, but like I realize every time I watch Gonzaga, they don't actually come out. They just play really fun basketball for me. So in lieu of doing that, I just went with Houston. The three baller boys.
Nice. Solid pick. I'm a multiple bracket guy, but my main one, I had to go with Alabama, man. I just feel like they got too much. Houston, Houston is a question mark because their guy, Sasser, he was injured going into the tournament. He re-aggravated that injury in the first round. So if they don't have him, that's going to be a problem. But if they do get him back and they make a run, it's just like, come on, man. The championship is in Houston. Talk about home court advantage. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like Alabama, they've been battle tested. They got the talent. They took their lumps throughout the season, and I feel like they understand. Like, all right, it's time to take this to another level. It's time to bring this championship home. Roll Tide. I imagine Nick Saban's in there coaching them up, saying, "Do your job. Do your job. This is what we do football wise. Now it's your turn." So I'm rolling with Alabama for the most part. I do have
They
Duke.
had the Saban video package in at halftime. You know it.
Oh, of course, man. And I have Duke making a deep run. I have Duke in the Final Four. I wanted to put them over Alabama, but I just couldn't do it.
I also have Duke. Oh, what do I have them? I have them going. I have to find it. I have them going pretty deep actually.
Yeah, and they look good this game, and
In a different bracket, I do have them in the Final Four.
nice. And I'm pretty sure I have Gonzaga in the Final Four, definitely in the Elite Eight, but
Yeah, I got them for
Final.
the pod bracket. I do have Gonzaga. I have Houston. I have Baylor, and then I had Purdue, but that's done. So
Oh my
that
God,
leg's done. But
Purdue, bro,
hey,
what
I don't watch enough
fucking
basketball to
failure.
warrant a bracket, but I try every year.
Yeah, and I mean, I watch a lot of basketball, and my bracket got busted day one. Shout out to Virginia, who has the ball with 10 seconds left. What do you do with it? Throw it to the other team so they can hit a game-winning three rather than
Yeah, that was
shoot free throws.
nuts. That was nuts. Well, do you have any Cinderella teams?
Um, who do I have? I got Creighton making it to the Elite Eight, I believe. If you want to call that a Cinderella, they're a 6 seed. Other than that,
Okay.
there is no. I don't think I believed in anybody higher than a 6 seed. I think I had a perfect, or almost. Excuse me. I was one. No, I was 2 games away from a perfect day yesterday. One being Purdue, who everyone thought. Then also Iowa State just got dumped on by Pitt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
For
yeah,
my Cinderella team, I have San Diego State going to the Elite Eight, and I can't give you a proper psychological reason as to why that would happen because they'd have to beat Alabama to do that.
they would. I don't see that happening. But shout
Me
out to San
neither.
Diego State. As we are recording, they have just made it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. So anything's possible, and Alabama still has to get through Maryland. So we'll see. But yikes! I don't take my bracket for anything, folks. I mean, you don't want anything to happen on my bracket other than Houston winning.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Do you have UCLA going far or not really?
I have them losing to Gonzaga.
Same, same.
I uh I watch, Arizona State guy, so I watch my fair share of Pac-12, and they just don't have the offense. Like they have a good defense, but when you get into the tournament, I feel like you need both. But what you need more is offense rather than defense. I mean, look at Virginia, defensive team bounced in the first round. So it's going to get to a point where it's just like you need to score points, and especially with Gonzaga, you need to score points. UCLA, they have Hawkes, and that's about it. Tiger Campbell's been very inconsistent this year, so I don't see them getting past Gonzaga. But then again, Gonzaga
Yeah.
has a history of choking, so who knows what's going to happen there? It's a tournament. Nobody
Yeah,
knows
it's very
anything.
true.
Nobody has a perfect bracket, and we're only on day 3.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have Gonzaga choking in the final four because I noticed they will get right there and then just well, I forgot how to play basketball.
Yeah, it's like, oh, defense. Make shots. What are you, coach? Coach, what do you want us to do here?
Well,
Yeah,
who do you have in the championship? You said Alabama.
Alabama, Houston.
Oh, okay, okay. I have Baylor sneaking in there. I
Yeah,
got
good luck.
Baylor, Houston.
Good luck with that one, buddy. I got Baylor losing next round. Think they
Well,
got.
I obviously didn't do my homework on Alabama. I think on my other bracket, Alabama's given more proper respect.
Yeah, Bama's legit. But yeah, I got Baylor losing to Creighton tomorrow. So we'll see who's right next pod.
That's for sure. Speaking
But
of
that
next pod, what's on the slate?
well, we'll be talking more match. We'll be talking more March Madness, if I could say it right. Sounds like a tongue twister out here. Sorry, future. Balling like a March Madness. Talking more March Madness. Talk a little NBA. See if we got any updates. Maybe the Lakers will be, a little in a better spot. Other than that, we'll see what's going on with the NFL. I mean, we're getting close to draft,
NFL
so
for
we
sure,
might have
yeah.
to talk about NFL teams, what positions are valuable and which ones have lost value. Kind of like we were doing today with the whole running back situation. Maybe dive a
Yeah.
little deeper on that next episode. But
I
who
assume we're
knows?
going to be doing a draft recap special of sorts once that happens, once the NFL draft is officially like tied up.
Yeah, for sure. And
Oh, be ready, folks. You got a NFL draft, post draft analysis special coming up pretty soon.
yeah, I was gonna say, who knows? These professional athletes turn into goons in the off season, so we might have a whole lot of content just waiting for us as the week goes on.
Well,
The night is young.
speaking of, speaking of goons, in true goon fashion, Jalen Carter, man, like he freaking didn't even finish his pro day, 9 pounds overweight from the last time. Like, talk about stress from actual life affecting you. But I was just like, goodness gracious, buddy, you think it's still worth it?
Hey, man, he gonna get drafted somewhere. If I was him, obviously he's missing out on some money, but hey, maybe he gets drafted like right to a contender. So it's just like, worked out in the long run. Even though lost out on a couple million, I'll get it back next contract.
Fair enough. Speaking of long run, there was some, I always, will check, my people for, little feedback here and there. And I was kind of getting some consistent feedback after a little bit. And it was that, sometimes the pod comes off a little cowboy and Laker heavy. Um, and I kind of thought that was funny because we kind of announced it at the beginning of various segments that we are fans of these teams, and you're a Ravens fan as well. So we make that clear. But I guess I'll say it again. Here at Sports Minds, we are an avid Cowboys, Lakers, Ravens organization sport over here. If you don't like that, feel free to contact us. And if you want to talk about the Jets, we'll talk about the Jets. You want to talk about the Titans? We'll talk about the Titans. You want to talk about the Rockets? We'll talk about the Rockets. But we don't support those teams over here. We support the Lakers, the Ravens, and the Cowboys. So until then, when we talk about these segments, we're going to lead off with those teams. When we have a deep dive, it will be about those teams. If you don't like it, you can forward or just hit us up and we'll talk about your teams as well. We'll talk about the Chargers. We'll talk about the Rams.
Straight
What do
up.
they have in common?
Straight up.
No Super Bowls anytime soon. So
Exactly.
all of our teams have the same thing in common. They suck. So we're going to talk about them. And when they're good, we're going to talk about them.
Straight up. And
You don't
like
like
you
it?
said,
Hit us
DM
up.
us. DM us. You want us to talk about your team? We'll talk about it. You might not hear. You might not like what we have to say, but we'll talk about it. But if we ain't talking about your team, it's because they ain't relevant, fool. That's why we ain't talking about your team.
We do
I
our
know.
best to
I know. I
regularly.
know. We ain't got a bunch of Kansas City Chiefs fans out in here, so we ain't talking about your team. And if the Warriors, there ain't
Yeah,
nothing to talk
when
about.
I have Detroit
If it's the
Piston fans
Warriors
hitting me up,
fans,
I
there
know
ain't
you're
nothing to
barking up
talk
the wrong
about.
tree.
All
We
right.
don't have anything to say about Detroit, buddy.
That about wraps this episode. As always, like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. If you've been following, we've been giving away some March Madness picks, and I just gotta say, I'm above 500
Yeah,
significantly.
you're missing out on some free money right there.
Free,
Right there. You're missing out on the plug. You don't even
free,
have to say hi. Just come in and check the team and leave.
free. So, uh, yeah, follow along, and we'll be back next week. But we out.
Peace.